Hi guys, it is Tamara. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about intergenerational trauma and signs that you have had intergenerational trauma in your family. This is a topic that's really kind of close to my heart. I have a pretty multi-ethnic family and we have a long history of intergenerational trauma. This is also my specialization in clinical practice, and I see a lot of families who are dealing with intergenerational trauma as well as the symptoms and the consequences of having that kind of trauma in their family. So I want to go over this topic again and update some of the previous videos that I've done on this topic. I'm going to go ahead and post them in the description box for you so that you can go back and see them. But in this video, I think I'm going to update some theories. So thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For all of you who are subscribed and participating, thank you so much. And for those who are new, I encourage you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can stick around with us and be a part of our growing and validating and educational community. Everything I talk about on this channel is trauma informed, and you're going to get a variety of topics that I specialize in. So I don't just talk about psychology, but I talk about the things that I specialize in, and I do a lot of research outside of the videos. These videos look pretty well put together sometimes. I say sometimes because I really mess them up and it takes a lot of retakes for me to get it to here, but I really do a lot of information seeking and a lot of research behind the scenes. So if there are topics that you're interested in, let me know. But I'm pretty sure that you're going to get a narrow view on this channel. I think there's some other topics I've talked about in the past, but for the most part, I'm a trauma-informed channel. So if you hit that subscribe button and stick around with us, you're going to get a variety of topics. You're going to get psychology, psychotherapy, science, trauma-informed care, and you're also going to get a little bit of knowledge about social justice and racial development. So I talk about those kind of things as well. So I welcome you to the channel. The benefits for you in today's videos, I'm going to highlight some stages or some signs, I should say, that you have a family that is really trying to rebound from intergenerational trauma. You know, I think that there are families who can really rebound from intergenerational trauma, for lack of a better word. They can kind of, come back from the damaging consequences and effects of intergenerational trauma that has occurred throughout generations. I define intergenerational trauma as, specific patterns, behaviors, beliefs, relationships, abuse, mental illness, characteristics that have occurred throughout generations in one's family that has not only impacted them negatively, but has also got them into almost like a mindset of not being able to move out, not being able to overcome. And so intergenerational trauma really does start way, way back with our ancestors, and I think it continues throughout generations, and it has a way of running through the veins of a family, and it can destroy, it can deter, it can diminish, it can do whatever it needs to do to impact that family negatively. Intergenerational trauma. So I want to point out some things that I have seen in my career over time and within the families that I counsel or I do consultations with. So we're going to go ahead through those stages. Okay, so let's go ahead. Identifying whether or not your family has been struggling with intergenerational trauma is an awareness of a content mindset within your family. A content mindset really is that mindset that says, I can't get out, and I'm not going to try to get out, because if I try to get out, I'm probably not going to get where I want to get. So might as well just stay right where I'm at. It's easier. My family has always been comfortable in the Bronx, in the ghetto, in trailer parks. My family has been content here. And so as long as we have each other, I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to do better financially. I'm not going to do better in a relationship. And I'm not going to do better socioeconomically or educationally. So I'm just going to stay here and be okay. I have 5 kids. And I'm gonna, stay with the man who beats me, and that's where I'm content. A content mindset keeps you stuck in the same patterns. That's a content mindset. The next thing is generations of secrets. So if you identify within your family that there are generations who have secrets within your family, you've got intergenerational trauma. I bet there's secrets somewhere underneath the carpet that you know nothing about, and it has negatively impacted you. I have found some secrets in my family after my grandmother died, and usually when the hub of the family, so the grandmother or the grandfather, you know, who has like children and grandchildren and great grandchildren, right? They're kind of like that hub, you know, everybody goes to them. There's usually some secrets, and they either share it or don't share it. They sweep it under the carpet. So generations of family secrets, you know, can cause a lot of trouble within families, and there may be some really deep-seated issues within the family that you know nothing about. That's another sign of intergenerational trauma. The next thing, guys, is defense mechanisms. If you notice within your family that throughout generations there's a series of defense mechanisms, and here's a couple of them right over here, then there's likely intergenerational trauma within your family. Defense mechanisms really do keep you secure, right? It blocks you. It keeps you from having to deal with the reality of things. So defense mechanisms can be a sign of intergenerational trauma because it's a wall up. You know, it's like family secrets. It's something that keeps you protected. The next thing is repeated patterns of unhealthy behaviors. Repeated patterns of unhealthy behaviors. If you have repeated patterns of domestic violence or abuse, there's a problem. If you have repeated patterns of emotional or psychological abuse or homelessness, substance abuse, severe mental illness, police brutality where your family members have been killed one after the other, gang violence, you know, poverty, those are unhealthy patterns within a family, and that is often a sign of intergenerational trauma. The next is lifelong parent-child conflict. You know, parents and children clash. It's a normal thing. Adolescents and parents clash. It's a normal thing. But the problem is when parent-child conflict has occurred through generations within your family, and that parent-child conflict has caused mental illness, substance abuse, inability to communicate appropriately, maybe poor relationships across the lifespan, across your lifespan, and across generations. So that parent-child conflict that occurs throughout generations, that's a sign that something is wrong here, and there's something underneath the surface that has not been addressed. Okay? The next thing is unresolved psychiatric needs. Generations of severe mental illness is a problem. Generations of substance abuse is a problem. Generations of psychosis and schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder, that's a problem. Generations of delusional thoughts and hallucinations, that's a problem. Generations of ingrained obsessive compulsive patterns, that's a problem. Generations of narcissism and sociopaths, that's a problem. So another sign of intergenerational trauma, these patterns, that's what you want to keep in mind, patterns that have occurred over generations within your family. The next thing is feeling bonded to the abuser. So if you have, you know, abusive patterns within your family, and you know grandma had an abusive husband, and grandma's mom had an abusive husband, and grandma's mom's mom had an abusive husband, then you know that there's something going on here. There's a pattern. And why are these women in the family attracted to these kind of men? What's this say? It says that there's some trauma somewhere. There's some unmet needs somewhere. There's some mental health issues somewhere. There's some self-esteem issues somewhere. These are things that are probably underneath the carpet and you know nothing about. So this is also another sign of intergenerational trauma. Now, if you have families where, you know, the abused or the victim cannot get out of that relationship and they stay in the relationship, that's another sign of intergenerational trauma, right? If you have 3 generations of women who stay in abusive relationships and they are bonded to the abuser, I talk a little bit about that in this video up here, that's a problem, all right? The next thing, guys, is oppositional defiance that has spread across generations, right? So if you have a family history of thugs, or gang violence, or substance abuse, or selling of drugs, or for lack of a better word, guys, basically putting women out there as prostitutes. If you have that kind of lineage of destruction within your family over generations, that's also a sign of intergenerational trauma. Something went awry way back when, and it has impacted generations that are younger. All right, so that's another sign. Another thing to keep in mind is a maintained status quo within the family. You don't want to do better than anybody. You don't want to get a higher education. You don't want to marry rich. You don't want to marry that lawyer or that attorney over there or that judge or that psychologist, right? Or that medical doctor, that surgeon, because you don't want to step outside of the status quo of your family. You rather stay on this even keel with your family so that there's no envy, there's no competition, there's no anger, there's no you left us behind attitudes in your family. You just rather keep that status quo. You rather stay even. That is a sign of intergenerational trauma as well. That should never happen in a healthy family. A healthy family should push you forward, should encourage you, should motivate you, not keep you stuck in that content mindset. Remember that from the very beginning? That content mindset, you shouldn't be stuck there. So if you're trying to maintain that status quo because everybody else has, intergenerational trauma is at the core. The next that I want you guys to think about is something known as a downward economic spiral that leads to an altered lifestyle. So an economic downward spiral, let's put it that way. And basically what I mean is generations and generations of poverty that tends to get worse over time, right? Nobody ever makes it above. They stay stuck. That's a sign of intergenerational trauma. Something has happened at the very beginning of this family, and that is why generations over generations have remained in poverty. They have remained stricken with poverty. They have also remained in a lower socioeconomic status in a bracket where they are comfortable. That's another sign. So it's an economic downward spiral, okay? The next that I want you guys to think about, and this is the last part of this, is a lifelong intra-psychic or intrapersonal conflict. So if you know that there are people in your family who cannot deal with what's going on in here and they push it down and internalize it and hide it and minimize it, that is a sign of intergenerational trauma. They have been taught somewhere, and they have been taught throughout development and throughout generations that it's okay to hide. And that is a problem, because if you hide, you're probably hiding mental illness, you're probably hiding substance abuse, you're probably hiding some other deep-seated issues that you're struggling with, and it's only going to become worse over time. So these are all signs of intergenerational trauma, and I'm going to put them in the description box below so that you can write them down, so you can kind of think about them and maybe do your own research. But I want you guys to kind of take some time and process in your own time your own thoughts about this, right? Where am I? Am I at this level? Am I at this level? Is my family, struggling with a downward economic spiral, right? Is my family dealing with a content mindset? Are they trying to maintain the status quo? But why? The question that you want to ask yourself when processing your own family is why? Why is this happening? Why is this happening this way? Why are they acting this way? Why do they think that way? And you're likely to get some answers. This is a tough topic, guys. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of research on this topic. So I will try to post some information down in the description box so you can have a little bit more information than what I can provide, just because I could stay on this topic for days. And the topic is really huge. So I want to make sure that you get some information. I'm sorry about that, guys. My office window is like right on the main road, and so you're gonna get motorcycles in my videos. You're gonna get people honking horns, so I'm really sorry about that. But I'm gonna try to give you guys as much information in the description box. That's basically what I was saying. So thank you so much for being with me in this video today, guys. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around and get more videos like this, and please hit that bell button, because when I post videos, it's going to alert you when I do, so that way you're going to be on track with me at all times. And if you could, please hit that thumbs up button. That's going to make this video available to other YouTubers and other people in YouTube land looking for videos just like this. So I will see you guys in the next video.